Hello viewers, this is my 1996 Ford Explorer. I got this as part of my severance package from my business. I had a used car lot and we've been struggling with the pandemic and everything, so decided it was time to throw in the towel. Now my business partner, he's keeping it going. I'm not sure what he's gonna do yet, if he's gonna end up leaving or you know, maybe get back into it. I'm not sure, but as far as I go, you know, I figured it was time for me to go because there really wasn't enough money going around for the both of us, so something was gonna have to give. So that being said, we use this as our plow truck. Plowed the car lot out with it for quite a few years, and till we moved, and then we didn't really need this anymore because our car lot was a bit smaller, so we just use a snow blower. So but yeah, I've had this for a while. We picked it up from auction for $400. You know, it was a really good deal. You don't find deals like that anymore. This would probably cost like $1,500 nowadays at the auction. It only has 140 something thousand miles on it. The interior is pretty nice and clean. We've never cleaned it or anything, but it's in pretty good shape in here. Has the 4-liter V6, 4-wheel drive, obviously. So here's the situation underneath. We have this bracket here in the front that goes to the frame. It's a little difficult to see, but this bracket goes down to the frame and then to the frame up there. And here's the gas tank. And it looks like these two bolts here, the one I got my wrench on, and that one right there, are the two bolts I need to take out to free the front of the tank. And then you can see the skid plate bolts right there. But those bolts are looking pretty rough. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get those to come out. I mean, that's pretty rough. So if I can't get it off, I could attempt to cut the skid plate off, although you'll be dealing with, you know, cutting metal next to gas, although this gas tank's empty, or it should be almost empty because all the gas leaked out. The gas tank straps back here. One of those straps is for the tank, and the other one is a bracket for the back of the skid plate. So this one here, the front one, that one's for the tank, and it's so rusty that it's not existent on the other side. So on the other one, I do need to take that off in order to drop the skid plate to get the gas tank off. And they bolt up right up there, like above the drive shaft, which also looks really rusty. So I'm gonna get to working on taking these front bolts out. Alright, I got all 4 bolts out. Even those bolts for the skid plate right here even came out, so I should be able to save the skid plate now. And I also got the bolts out for the gas tank, the front of the gas tank. So, you know, if you live in Michigan or somewhere like that where everything rusts out really bad like this, I would recommend spraying everything down with some penetrating oil, because that seemed to do the trick. Alright, now I'm going to move on to getting the back loose, but before I do that, I'm going to put my transmission jack underneath this gas tank so it don't just fall out, because I still have to unhook everything from the fuel pump before I can take it out completely. Well, there's the outside mount for the back of the skid plate. So that's like the back of the gas tank, rear tire. So that's what I'm taking off next, and then I'll take the one off the other side, and it should be able to free this gas tank. All right, now I'm just trying to get the other side of the rear skid plate mount off. There's the rusty old bolt up there I have to try to get out in between the gas tank and this rusty drive shaft. So I'm going to try to get my wrench up in there and see if I can turn it. So I got the gas tank dropped down enough where I can see the fuel lines. I ended up having to cut the filler lines because they have some sort of quick connect that goes to the tank that I couldn't get those off, so I just cut them off to get some new lines. So I got this tool here, and hopefully this will allow me to get the lines off the tank at least. So let's go under here, see what's going on. There's the fuel lines. They look to be stainless, so that's good. So I'm gonna try to get my tool in there and undo those lines. You gotta basically put that tool I showed you around the line and then push it into that clamp, and that releases the spring, that so you could hopefully pop them off. So I'll have to show you when I'm putting it back in, but the plug is way back in the frame rail. Alright, so I got the old tank out and I got the new tank here sitting next to it. So you can see some of the trouble I was having. So these this filler neck or filler hose and the vent have like a quick connect on them instead of just a hose clamp. So I'm assuming you push the plastic tabs on both sides in, and then this should be able to pop out. But oh, look at that, I got it. I couldn't really get my hand up in there to get it out before. I tried for about an hour and then I just cut it off. So this one though, I can't even turn it, so I was gonna have to cut this one. It's rusted. This line, the metal here will rust and swell up, and then this will get seized. So I tried putting some vice grips on it to try to turn it. I couldn't get it to turn, so I just cut that one off too, which is gonna end up costing more money because I'm gonna have to buy some new hoses. Another problem I had was right here, you can see there is, it almost looks like somebody like tack welded this together, so I couldn't get this off either, so I had to cut that off. And I couldn't really see what was going on. All I could see from underneath was this line. But I tried for a while. I figured there was something jamming it up, so I had to cut it off. So I'll have to figure something else out. I could probably I mean, they put these quick connects on here, so it's faster for them at the factory to assemble this thing. And in the past, I've just used rubber hose and slid over these, past this rib right here, put the hose clamp on this side, and it should be fine. So what I gotta do next is I gotta transfer the pump, this breather, and this thing over into this tank. And then I'm gonna have to go to the parts store and get some new hoses for the filler, and see if I can figure something out how to go about getting that high pressure side line hooked up, and then I can throw it back in the car. So these two, the breather and the sensor there, look like you just turn them 90 degrees and they should just pop out. So hopefully they'll come out. And luckily my new gas tank came with a new seal for the pump, because I'm sure that one's not going to be in very good shape after I peel it off of there. So I'm going to get to swapping that stuff around. Yep, broke off. So I looked online, and this sensor here on top of the tank is actually a gas tank pressure sensor. And if you look at the bottom of it, that small hollow plastic stem was, you know, all there was to turn this out with. And I tried using a screwdriver to try to get the rest of it out, just to see if I could, and it's pretty much not coming out. So I looked online, they're like $75 for a new one of those at the parts store, and this is just an old rusty plow truck. So what I did was I just sealed up the hole on the new tank with a big washer and a nut and a bolt, and I put some silicone under it to seal it up. So the worst I'm going to get out of this is a check engine light on for evap leak, which it's going to have one anyway. So because all the other lines back there for the evap system are so rusty, it was going to have one anyway. So I'll probably just plug that sensor in there anyway and just like zip tie it up, and it'll just think there's a big evap leak. So next thing I'm going to do is take this fuel pump off. Put the new gasket that I got with the new tank, put it on, and then I bought a variety of new filler hoses. They don't actually make new hoses for this thing, believe it or not. At least I couldn't find them. So I got a variety of different hoses and stuff I'm going to try to make work so I can put gas in it again. And then we'll put it back up in there and hopefully it works. Finally getting ready to put the gas tank back up, but I decided I was going to oil the top side of this skid plate because it was rusting out so bad. So this should slow the rust down, make it last a little bit longer. So I'm going to slide all this underneath the car. I got my fuel lines and everything ready to go, so I just got to basically plug it back in and hopefully we'll be pretty much done. Okay, managed to get the tank up on the transmission jack. I forgot to show you earlier, but the plug for the fuel pump is back here. Inside the frame rail, it's clipped on. So it's not like a GM where it unplugs closer on top of the tank. So just get our connector and plug that baby back in. Alright, well, I got all my hoses hooked up, filler hoses, fuel lines, and everything's plugged in, so I'm just gonna lift this up the rest of the way into position, put the bolts on, and then it'll be done. Alright, I got the bolts in. That there is the bolt that's supposed to be in. And that's a bolt from one of the rear straps. Basically, I can't get to line up straight for one of the bigger bolts because it has that big, I'll show you in a minute, but I can't get that big bolt to go in over on this side. So, screw it, I don't care anymore. I've been working on this thing for days, trying to get this stupid gas tank back in. So, it has this piece here that goes into the hole and holds it all perfectly lined up. Problem is that gas tank isn't perfectly straight, so that's sometimes a problem when you get aftermarket parts like that. It's just how it goes, so make do with it. Now I just have to get the back in and then I'm done crawling around underneath this thing for a while. Well, there you have it. All the bolts for the skid plate are back in and it is installed. Well, after it's all said and done, this is how much rust fell into my eyes. There's the hammer for scale. Well, that's going to be it for this video. I apologize if the video quality wasn't very good. It was dark and cramped under there and I had a hard time just getting myself under there, much less recording it. So, but that'll be the same procedure you'll have to go through if you're changing your fuel pump, which is probably going to be a more common thing people are watching this video for, maybe. But either way, if it weren't so rusty, it wouldn't have been that bad. Truth be told, I'd been working on that for quite a while off camera, just because everything was fighting me because it was so rusty. But it's all done now, and I can move on to fixing up the other things, and should be a good time. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.